Deep inside the tangled Cambodian jungle, ancient vines strangled giant stone faces that once silently ruled an empire of 1 million people. This was Angkor, the beating heart of the mighty Khmer Empire, a city so vast and crowded it once dwarfed medieval London and Paris combined. For centuries, this metropolis thrived in near silence, hidden beneath a green ocean of trees, almost entirely forgotten by the outside world. Tonight, we walk slowly through its rise, its glittering golden peak, and the haunting mystery of why an empire this powerful simply vanished. In the early 9th century, a king named Jayavarman II climbed a sacred mountain and boldly declared himself a living god on earth. He unified dozens of warring tribes scattered along the Tonle Sap lake, forging the very foundations of what would become the Khmer Empire. The land here was both blessed and cursed at once, flooded violently each monsoon season, then scorched bone dry the rest of the long year. So Khmer engineers achieved something extraordinary for their era, building vast man-made reservoirs called barays to tame the water itself. These enormous barays fed rice fields that could yield 3 full harvests a year, an agricultural miracle that quietly funded an entire empire. Small villages grew into busy towns, and those towns swelled into cities as Angkor slowly rose from muddy rice paddies into a capital of stone. Every successive king added new temples, wide roads, and long canals, each new ruler determined to outshine the monuments left by his father. Within just 2 centuries, Angkor stretched further than anyone could have imagined, a sprawling metropolis hidden deep in the jungle heat. At the very center of it all rose Angkor Wat, a temple so massive that its outer wall alone stretches over 3 full miles around itself. It was deliberately built to mirror the universe itself, its 5 high soaring towers representing the sacred peaks of Mount Meru in the sky. Thousands of laborers, skilled artisans, and enormous elephants hauled sandstone blocks for many decades just to raise this mountain of stone. Every visible surface was carved by patient hand, ancient gods and demons, locked in an eternal battle across walls that stretch for over 1 mile. Later, the legendary warrior king Jayavarman VII built Bayon, its towers carved with 200 serene, silently watching stone faces. Some historians say those faces belong to the king himself, while others insist they are the Buddha, gazing endlessly over his kingdom below. Either way, the message to visitors was unmistakable. The king was not merely a ruler here, he was the living bridge to the divine itself. To walk through these ancient temples today is to walk directly through the ambition of men who once believed they could build heaven on earth. But Angkor was never just a city of silent temples. It was a living, breathing metropolis of nearly 1 million people at its greatest peak. Wooden homes on tall stilts lined the winding canals, since only gods deserved stone, and ordinary daily life was built from timber and thatch. Markets overflowed each morning with fresh fish from the Tonle Sap, rice from flooded paddies, fine silk, rare spices, and gleaming river pearls. Chinese diplomat Zhou Daguan visited the city and wrote vividly of naked bathers, crowded streets, and royal processions dripping with gold. He described elephants draped in shimmering silk, soldiers dressed in golden armor, and the king himself carried high on a jeweled litter. Children played and splashed in muddy canals, while temple monks chanted prayers that drifted through courtyards into the humid morning air. Farmers rose long before dawn to work flooded rice fields, their quiet daily labor silently powering the glittering empire above them all. Beneath all the gold and carved sandstone, Angkor truly ran on human hands, on sweat, on rice, and on water carefully managed by engineers. By the 12th century, the sprawling Khmer Empire stretched across modern Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, and large parts of far southern Vietnam. Its armies marched forward with war elephants, its navies patrolled rivers as wide as seas, and tribute poured steadily in from every side. Jayavarman II, scarred deeply by war and personal grief, built great hospitals, rest houses, and roads across his entire vast empire. He carved solemn inscriptions promising to heal the sickness of his people, always calling their suffering, in his own words, his personal pain. Angkor, his grand new capital, held palaces, temples, and reservoirs behind stone walls 8 miles long and heavily, constantly guarded. From its tallest towers, giant stone faces stared calmly in every direction, watching roads that stretched toward every watchful corner of Asia. To distant outsiders, the Khmer Empire seemed almost truly eternal, a shining civilization of gods and kings that time itself could never erase. Yet beneath that glittering golden surface, dangerous cracks were already spreading silently through the foundations of this water empire. Centuries of relentless, obsessive temple building had drained the ancient royal treasury and exhausted generations of exhausted forced laborers. Hidden tree ring records reveal decades of brutal, punishing drought, broken suddenly by monsoons violent enough to shatter ancient canals. The great barays that once tamed the water now failed completely under the strain, and rice harvests that fed millions began to quietly fail. To the west, the rising kingdom of Ayutthaya pressed harder and harder, while Angkor's exhausted armies grew thinner with every single battle. In 1431, Ayutthaya's forces finally breached the weakened capital, and the entire Khmer royal court began fleeing eastward fast. The king relocated his capital toward modern Phnom Penh, closer to lucrative trade routes and further from a slowly crumbling water system. Without steady royal patronage, the great barays silted up completely, canals collapsed one by one, and the jungle began creeping back inward. Angkor was never fully destroyed in a single dramatic day. It simply faded slowly, quietly abandoned piece by piece across several generations. Roots of towering silk cotton trees wrapped slowly around temple walls, prying massive ancient stone apart with the patient force of centuries. Local Cambodian communities never truly forgot Angkor Wat. Monks still tended its shrines, even as the entire surrounding city vanished away. But the wider world lost this empire entirely, until French explorer Henri Mouhot finally published stunned, breathless accounts back in 1860. He described ancient towers rising from the forest, like something abandoned by a civilization far greater than any he had known in Europe. Archaeologists later discovered Angkor was even larger than anyone believed, a sprawling low-density city hidden completely beneath dense trees. Laser mapping technology eventually revealed a vast urban network stretching for miles beneath the unbroken ancient canopy of the modern jungle. And yet, despite drought, endless war, foreign invasion, and centuries of total silence, Angkor never truly disappeared. It only fell asleep. If you want the next lost empire uncovered on this channel, subscribe now and always tell us below which forgotten city we should explore next.